If you watch the news or read the newspaper, you might believe Philadelphia and Pennsylvania are broke. Politicians and mass media tell us this story as the reason why we must close schools and lay off teachers, why we cannot pay workers a living wage and provide benefits like health care. We are told there's a scarcity of resources, so that everyone must just suck it up. But the people suggesting this idea are the ones making off like bandits, while the rest of us are waiting, standing in line at the bank they just robbed.
In the past decade, while poverty levels were rising and family incomes dropping, tax breaks skyrocketed and corporate firms posted record profits. Since 2003, tax breaks for corporations operating in the state of Pennsylvania have more than tripled, from $850 million to $3.2 billion.
As of 2010, 73% of corporations operating in the state paid no corporate income tax, zero. Comcast, after spending $140,789 on lobbying efforts in Philadelphia, received almost $30 million in property tax abatements over the last 5 years, in addition to the $42.75 million in state grants and assistance. Comcast and other corporations like them are posting record profits.
Philadelphia's airport is another prime example of this. U.S. Airways paid over $166,000 in lobbying efforts. At Philadelphia Airport, filled with U.S. Airways staff, more than 20% of employees reported having difficulty feeding their family and going hungry within the last year. 75% report difficulty paying bills, and 97% of employees received no paid sick days. These aren't strangers. These are our neighbors suffering from hunger in an exploitative workplace.
Corporations are posting record profits and their employees are making less money and given fewer benefits. 40% of those working in Philadelphia remain in poverty. The number of Philadelphians earning at or below minimum wage has doubled in the last 6 years. Philly has the highest level of poverty among the 10 biggest cities in the United States, and it's not improving. Those jobs often lack basic support structures like paid sick leave, maternity leave, time off, and comprehensive health benefits. And the numbers are even worse for African American and Latino communities, which have much higher rates of poverty and unemployment than their white counterparts. Money comes in the city and goes out, but it doesn't have a chance to stay in the hands of people that need it most. It isn't isolated to Philadelphia either. The surrounding suburbs have had poverty levels grow by 40% in the last decade.
Lawmakers, lobbied by corporations and special interests, have consistently underfunded public education, as Pennsylvania is one of 3 states that lacks a fair funding formula, instead relying on politicians, not educators, to make up school budgets on the state level.
476 out of 500 school districts in Pennsylvania were underfunded in 2006, and since then, the governor has cut over $1 billion from the state's education budget. Teachers' salaries are slashed and students are underinvested. Schools are routinely underfunded. Politicians are playing with the education and future of our children. While the state's education budget has suffered, the prison system has doubled its budget over the last decade. A perfect example of this is the $400 million in state spending on a new prison just outside of Philadelphia at a time when the Philadelphia School District was $304 million over budget. Big business and political nepotism has trumped public need. We do not have a financial crisis, we have a moral one. When our elected officials favor the super wealthy over the middle class and poor, we have immoral priorities.
We have to ask ourselves, what will happen if we don't change this picture? How will this affect our families? How will our communities respond? Organizing together through our communities, at Power, we can begin dismantling this system and begin building a city of opportunity that works for all.